Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. It's time for episode 2 of my series covering Rare Replay. We're moving from the Spectrum to the N64 this time and taking a look at Banjo-Kazooie. This is one of Rare's best games, and thanks to the revamp it got for Xbox Live Arcade on the 360 in 2008, it still holds up today. When you launch this game from the Rare Replay menu, as well as all the other Xbox 360 games in the collection, the Xbox One goes into the 360 emulation mode. I haven't experienced any problems with this at all. In fact, I think the game runs marginally better than it did on the 360. In the transition over from Nintendo to Microsoft, additional work was done by 4J Studios to convert it into widescreen, improve the textures and overall resolution of the game, and add achievements. Banjo the Bear and his bird friend Kazooie are enjoying a fairly peaceful existence in their house near Spiral Mountain, when all of a sudden the horrible evil witch Gruntilda swoops down and kidnaps Banjo's sister Tooty. She needs Tooty in order to drain her life essence and make her look attractive, which also has the side effect of turning Tooty into a horrible monster at the same time. Should you lose all your lives while playing the game or quit out to the main menu, you can actually watch this happen. It's pretty dark stuff. Anyway, from there, Banjo answers the call to action, grabs Kazooie, who is lodged inside his trusty blue backpack, and sets off on his rescue mission. Along the way, Bottles the Mole assists the two heroes by training them in new moves, which come in very handy throughout the game. Stuff like the Talon Trot, which allows you to walk up steep slopes, and the Beak Blast that sees you violently stab whatever you're pointing at in mid-flight. To those just coming to the Banjo games for the first time, they are 3D platformers in the tradition of Super Mario 64. You explore decently sized environments, collecting lots of items and solving puzzles to earn jiggies, puzzle pieces that allow you to complete jigsaws to open further worlds. Things start off quite simply with Mumbo's Mountain and Treasure Trove Cove, but the difficulty and complexity of the worlds ramp up until you get to the actually quite tricky Mad Monster Mansion and Click Clock Wood. You may well lose quite a few lives whilst trying to figure out where to go and what to do in order to track down all 10 jiggies, 100 musical notes and Mumbo tokens on each level. But at the very worst, you have to make your way back through the main hub to the level you were playing and try again. Those musical notes that I mentioned are another way of gating your progress, quite literally. There are locked doors throughout Gruntilda's lair that have a certain number written on them, and you need to have collected that number of notes by the time you get there to unlock them. Finding the majority of the notes isn't too taxing if you explore the stages thoroughly, but it does ensure that you can't just race to the end. Mumbo tokens are important because in a lot of the stages you can find Mumbo's hut, where in exchange for a certain number of the tokens he will temporarily transform you into something that will make your life easier in that particular world. For example, in the swampy level you become a crocodile and can safely roam the waterways without being bitten by piranhas. Likewise, in Freeze Easy Peak you can become a walrus and be able to swim without getting frozen to death. My favourite transformation in this first game has to be the cute little pumpkin from Mad Monster Mansion. He has little blinky eyes and Banjo's trademark backpack. So adorable. As time moved on in the N64 era, Rare became rather carried away with the number of collectibles that they put in their games, until things got so out of hand that they ended up with the quite frankly ridiculous Donkey Kong 64. I know several people who think they even went too far with Banjo-Kazooie, but in my opinion they got things just about right with this game. I haven't played all that much of Banjo-Tooie just yet, but what I have played suggests that they were starting to push the N64 hardware just a little bit too hard and had over-designed the game a little. In this first game the balance is more or less spot on though. Before I leave you with my final thoughts on the game, let's just spend a minute or two on the presentation. Firstly, the music composed by Grant Kirkhope is absolutely fantastic and is definitely up there with the best soundtracks composed for a Rare game. David Wise did do some great stuff with the Donkey Kong Country franchise, and the music from Jet Set Gemini by Robin Beanland is pretty darn special too. But for my money, tunes like the ones for Treasure Trove Cove, Freeze Easy Peak and Clanker's Cavern top anything by those guys. You can definitely detect more than a hint of If You Go Down to the Woods Today and To Grandmother's House We Go in some of the music, but it's never those exact tunes, they're always remixed just a little bit. The levels also feature different arrangements of their music too. For example, when you go near the termite mound in Mumbo's Mountain, the score takes on a more military feel and the termites start going hup, 2, 3, 4. The sound effects are another place where Banjo-Kazooie can annoy some, because all of the characters' speech is actually made up from noises, such as a series of cackling and screeching sounds from Gruntilda. Some people I know absolutely hated this and wouldn't play the game for that reason, but I feel this is all part of the charm. Finally, the graphics. Rare have a tradition of putting googly eyes on everything, and that tradition was taken to ridiculous levels in this game. Perfectly innocent, inanimate objects like rocks have bloody googly eyes on them. It's all rather silly. Apart from that, the rest of the graphics are some of the best on the N64. They were really good even at the time when the game was first released, never mind the improvements made to the XBLA release. That's about all I have to say about the game really, apart from the fact that it's one of the best games included on the Rare Replay collection. I'm not yet sure if it is the absolute best overall, because like I said, I have yet to play the sequel all the way through, and there are other games in the collection I haven't spent much time with yet either, like Cameo and the 2 Viva Pinata games. I can award it a 9 out of 10 score without hesitation though, and add that if you haven't played it before and also own an Xbox One, it pretty much single-handedly justifies the cost of the Rare Replay collection. I haven't really decided which game I will be covering next time, but I think I will be going back to the NES era to play through one of those before I get stuck into Cameo Elements of Power after that. It shouldn't be too long before I have episode 3 ready, all being well. Until then, take care.